Hello, everybody. This is David at Everything Economics, and today we're going to go into critical reasoning. And there's going to be several videos of critical reasoning. This is going to be my first one, and we're going to talk about Aristotelian logic. So, just basic history: Aristotle was a ancient Greek philosopher, lived from about 384 BC to 322 BC, and he was a student of Plato. And he created his logic of classes. So he created this system of dividing everything into classes, and we'll talk about that. A class is any collection, group, or set that is thought of as a single object. So, for example, a critical reasoning class, or let's say your English class, or your economics class. Even though you're different students, maybe you have different levels. Different. Uh, um, some of you might be freshmen, some might be sophomore, and so forth. You are still considered a single set because you are all in the same class. Now, when managing large amounts of data or information, one has to categorize it in classes. And of course, you see this when you're dealing with big data. Uh, And when you're trying to organize through big data and you have to set everything into classes, like for example, if you are a retailer such as Walmart, you might have in your big data, you might have all your men's clothing, and then you have all your women's clothing, and then you have your children's clothing. And then you might break that down even further. You have men's clothing, but you have like men's underwear, men's socks, men's blue jeans, and so forth. So we can use these classes to help us divide and organize and analyze large amounts of data or information. All right. Key words that are often used to distinguish a class can be all, some, or none. So in this very basic example, all Greeks are Europeans. This can be interpreted as the class of Greeks is included within the class of Europeans. Same thing, you could say all French are Europeans. So the class of French are included within the class of Europeans. Next example, Socrates was an ancient Greek. This can be interpreted as the object, which is Socrates, is a member of a class, which is ancient Greeks. So we could also say George Washington was an American. So we have the object of George Washington is a member of the class of Americans. More examples. Here it says, no Americans are Europeans. This is interpreted as the class of Americans does not overlap with the class of Europeans. Next example, some Europeans are Greeks. This is interpreted as some members of the class of Europeans are also member of the class of Greeks. We can further simplify it by simply saying some E are G. So, for example, all N are B equals all members of the class N are also members of the class B. Now, here's an example of breaking it down. We have our argument. So, Nazis are bad. Nazis like to beat up Catholics. So, liking to beat up Catholics is bad. And we can just simplify this into all N are B, all N are L, all L are B, where the N equals the class of Nazis, B equals the class of bad persons, and L equals the class of all persons who like to beat up Catholics. Okay. Now, let us write the following argument in a simplified form. whales are mammals, but the biggest fish in our sea is definitely not a mammal. So it's not a whale either. Now at this point, you can pause the video and try to do this on your own, or you could just follow along with me. So here we have, let me get my pen out. Let's see, we'll use red today. Here we have whales are mammals. So we can say that all W are M. And then it says the biggest fish in our sea is definitely not a mammal. So we can say, let's see, we could say B for biggest fish is not M. And then we would have our conclusion. So B is not W. B is not a whale. So just W equals whales. B equals biggest fish. And then M equals mammals. Okay, so that's putting this argument into a simplified form. Okay, so that would be and you can tell it's logical. All right, let's go into another example. It says all insects have exactly 6 legs. So no spider is an insect because all spiders have exactly 8 legs. And you can choose the correct choice. And so in this, 6 stands for the class of things that have 6 legs. So at this point, you can pause the video, see which one you can figure it out, and or you can just continue and I'll give you the answer. All right, let's look at these. We have all insects have exactly 6 legs. So we know that all insects are 6. No spider is an insect because all spiders have exactly 8 legs. So we know by the keyword so that no spider is an insect. So this is actually going to be kind of our conclusion. So our conclusion of the argument. And then of course, because, and this is another reason that's being given, all spiders have exactly 8 legs. So let's look at the letter A. It says all insects are 6. Okay, well that is true. All insects have 6 legs. So we got that one. Put a check mark. And let's go with green. Green looks got a green check mark. That's right. No spiders are insects. Well, we're not sure about that. We know the conclusion says no spider is an insect, but we're not sure that's an actual fact. So we would have to say, put an X there. That would not be correct. And then it says no 6 are 8. Well, that's true. 6 does not equal 8, but that's not what we're trying to prove here. But that is true. And then all spiders are 8. Well, our conclusion says that no spider is an insect. And so that definitely is not correct there. Okay, so definitely not A. Now B says no spiders are insects. Well, that's our conclusion, so that would be correct for the conclusion. But it says all insects are 6. Okay, that is true. So that's another true part. No 6 are 8. That's also true. But no spiders are insects. Well, we don't know that. So that would be incorrect. C, all insects are 6. That is true. No spiders are insects. Again, we're not sure about that, so we cannot confirm that. No insects are spiders. That's the same thing, but it's just saying it backwards. All spiders are 8. That is true, but that's not our conclusion. Our conclusion says that no spider is an insect. So the conclusion is wrong. That leaves us with D. And of course, it's probably figured out by now the answer is D. It says all insects are 6. That's true. We have that in the first sentence. All spiders are 8. Yes, spiders have exactly 8 legs. That's true. 6, no 6 are 8. Well, that's true. 6 doesn't equal 8, so we assume that insects do not equal spiders. Therefore, our conclusion, no spiders are insects. And as you say, as the conclusion says, so no spider is an insect. So D is the correct answer. So taking this these sentences and putting it into a simplified form, that's how that would be correct. All right, thank you for this lecture. If you liked it, please hit a like button. If you have a comment or suggestion, I do read those, so feel free to leave a comment. And I will be creating some more critical reasoning videos soon, so stay tuned. And if this interests you, perhaps you can subscribe. Thank you for your time.